Welcome to Pimpy's Investment Chat, where we keep investment talk simple. And here's your host, Pimpy.
What is going on out there, peeps? All right, so let's get back to Iraq. As we are aware, there has been several demonstrations and nothing is getting accomplished. But recently, the security forces have been grabbing back controls of certain areas of Iraq. We're hearing a lot of promises that the government is going to be formed within 2 weeks. I don't think so. Of course, this news is also mixed in with some good news as well for Iraq. We're going to cover that here in just a moment. In case you haven't figured it out yet, I'm on a new channel. I'm rebranding. So this channel is no longer called Pimpy's Investment Chat, although I will have videos for Pimpy's Investment Chat as one of the categories on here. This channel is called The Other Side of Things. This allows me to be able to expand more on different subjects other than just dinar and gold, crypto, the whole 9 yards. So let's get into this. Before we get started though, do me a favor and hit the thumbs up button. If you're not a subscriber, please do so, because when you do, it helps out the channel, especially now. And I surely do appreciate it. If you're thinking about buying gold and silver, go to our friends over there at Money Metals Exchange. The link is down below in the description. If you're a first time buyer and you spend more than $100, use promo code Pimpy, P-I-M-P-Y, and you will get a free half ounce of silver. So as you can see here, the UN Security Council is trying to help find a way to solve the deadlock in the political blocks. It's just not going to happen. You know, the more I read into who these people are that control these different political blocks, the more you're going to realize it's just, I don't know how they're going to come up with a settlement. I really don't. It's almost as bad as Republicans versus Democrat. You're just not going to get them to agree with one another. Neither side is going to do anything to help the other side. So the United Nations is trying to figure out what it needs to do to get in there and solve this problem. My thought was maybe you threaten to take them back over in Chapter 7. Remember, they have to be a stable government to stay outside of Chapter 7. Let's see what kind of strings they pull to try to help dissolve this issue. I just don't think it's going to happen. We know the United States is pushing really hard for Iraq to form a government. They have a personal interest in the country, and they have a group of politicians that they like more than others, especially ones that they control. So as you can see here, Barzani and Al-Qademi does stress the importance of dialogue to get out of the political blockage. Look, short of having the people actually do the voting themselves instead of them selecting who's going to be prime minister and who's going to be president, let the people decide. If you want to resolve the issue, let the people decide. In the past, what happens, you have one group of people who nominate the president, another group of people who nominate the prime minister, and then they kind of vote them in there. It's like a shared power. But since we're stuck in this political blockage, I think right now you got to let the people decide, and they should decide all along. Anyways, Al-Qademi flew out to Erbil to meet with the Kurds over there and discuss the political blockage that they have and what they need to do to get past it. As the meeting discussed the overall political situation in the country and the importance of adopting a national dialogue between all political forces to get out of the political impasse that is affecting the general situation, impeding in provisions of services to citizens, and threatening to destabilize. I would say you guys are pretty much destabilized as it is. That's why you see so many protests out there. Said a meeting witnessed the emphasis on the role of the political and social actors in facilitating understanding, lowering the level of tension, avoiding incitement, and the importance of relying on responsible national discourse for a democratic federal Iraq in which the word of the Constitution and the law is above all. If that was the case, you wouldn't have such a biased Supreme Court. The two parties discussed the various security challenges and the importance of continuing joint coordination between Baghdad and Erbil to address a number of files, foremost of which is the fight against terrorism and the repeated attacks on Iraqi's lands, and that Iraq's land should not be anywhere from a starting point or have taken threatening neighbor countries. Yeah, to me, I mean, you watch what Turkey did and you watch what Iran is doing. These two things are an act of war. When you start going into other countries and bombing targets. So it says here, Al-Qademi and Barzani refused to turn Iraq into an arena for settling regional accounts. You could say that all you want, but until you can stop the people that's actually doing it, it makes it a little tough. You could talk a good talk, but you're going to have to be able to back that up with some security, with your security forces, your military, to stop this type of nonsense. So yeah, Liz Truss, I believe is how you pronounce the name. She came over from United Kingdom, expressing United Kingdom's concern about what's going on over in Kurdistan as well as Iraq. Barzani is doing all he could to assure her that things will be just fine and that they can keep the place secure. Let's hope that's true. A lot of these countries have a lot of money vested into Iraq. The last thing they want to see is that all that money was wasted. So now you have the second in command there in the House of Representatives recommending that they come in this next week and start their election of the President of the Republic. And from there, a Prime Minister will be appointed. Now, whether or not this actually happens remains to be seen. But it is being speculated that it will be done. I don't believe that at all. The meeting between a framework and the Kurds in Baghdad in the eye of common interest, looking towards tenderness. I love their choice of words. Basically, this article is going on to say that Kurds and coordinated framework do agree in some territories and they agree they have to move forward. It all sounds like kumbaya in this article. Each one expressing how they have an understanding of why things need to get accomplished. They just can't seem to get it accomplished. Instead, a delegation representing the Kurd forces will visit Baghdad and hold a meeting with the coordinated framework next Tuesday to discuss a number of issues. Most notably, the presidential candidate expressing hope that the candidate proposal will be expedited in order to decide the choice in this session. So they're hoping to get that accomplished in this next session. The framework and the rest of the political forces are in agreement on the importance of the Soros movement participating in forming the next government, and our efforts in this direction are continuing. If Soros is promising everybody reform, you can have reform if the coordinated framework is there, especially Maliki. And I think that's where the sticky point is going to be. In this article here, it looks like Al-Mutlag is likely to form the next government. Al-Sudani will pass by a majority. So they're feeling confident that Sudani will pass. And if he does pass, well, then you can expect them to start forming a government quickly afterwards. And they're saying within 2 weeks. So if that's the case, it should be formed quickly. And it should be with Sadr's blessing. It said, Saleh, we expect a Kurdish agreement very soon to resolve the candidate to assign the prime minister agreed upon by the political blocs to form the government. And we expect that the Sudanese would be prime minister a few months ago due to his acceptability and his ability to manage these challenges. And there is a satisfaction with him from most political parties. And there's no obstacles to his leadership of the government. What do you mean? There's the obstacle from Sadr. Seriously. The Sudanese is an honest and highly qualified person who has successfully managed several ministries, and he is the best to take over the government in the light of political atmosphere, and everyone should cooperate with him to move forward, and the political blocs must be aware that their fate and fate of the country is at stake and cooperate with the next president in all problems. So I said this before and I'll say it again. We're going to learn more here in the next couple of weeks. So a week from today, it'll be 1 year since the election over there in Iraq. If things don't start moving forward, I just don't know how they're going to solve the problems. I still think they should turn it over to the Iraqi people and let them decide. But the protests are becoming more and more intense. Sooner or later, there's going to be something that lights that fire and things are going to take off. And you're going to see uprisings everywhere. Direct openings of all the roads that were closed due to the demonstrations. So they're just barely grabbing control of the roads and opening them up again. This is what I'm talking about. This becomes more and more of an obstruction to workers, to people. This will affect the GDP of the country, the economy of the country. If you keep blocking the roads and people can't get anything accomplished, that's what they can look forward to. This is good news. It's that Iraq wins the post of vice president of the Arab Parliament. Iraq has obtained the position of vice president of the Arab Parliament. A statement received by the news. The representative of Iraq won the position of deputy speaker of the Arab Parliament. This is the first step for Iraq to assume such a high-level position to be the decision makers of Arab affairs. And this is great news, of course. We spoke about this. Them building up their foreign currency reserves, them adding to their gold reserves. These things are necessary to help support the value of the Iraqi Dinar. Iraq is the largest buyer of gold for the second quarter of this year. Congratulations to Iraq. Like I suggest to all the people who listen to my videos, you should invest in gold and silver. The World Gold Council announced today, Saturday, that Iraq was the largest purchaser of gold in the world during the second quarter of 2022. The council said a tabular report seen by the news that Iraq bought 33.97 tons during the second quarter of this year, bringing its balance to 130.3 tons of gold. So Iraq doing everything necessary to secure its economy, secure its currency. Getting the government established is big. Helping everything become settled in that country so there's no uprising would be big. We need a stable government, a stable country, a stable economy. Before you guys bring it up, that the rumor is they're going to raise the exchange rate of the Iraqi Dinar to help settle the problems over there. No, they're not. There is no such report whatsoever of that. That's false. But if they can get back on track, they're doing all the right things necessary for them to make the right moves when it comes to Iraqi Dinar when the time comes. Anyways, that's it for now. I appreciate you guys chiming in and supporting the new channel and look forward to talking to you later. I'm out.